On May 8, 1945, the world celebrated. Church bells rang across Europe. Crowds filled the streets. Newspapers printed one word in bold letters. Victory. World War II was officially over. But history rarely tells you what happened next. Because for thousands of soldiers, for dozens of towns, for several battlefields, the war did not stop. Not that day. Not the next. And not for 72 terrifying hours. This is the story of the battles, deaths, and orders that happened after peace was declared. This is the war that continued after victory. Victory in Europe was announced on May 8, 1945. But Europe in 1945 was not connected by smartphones, satellites, or instant communication. Radio signals were weak. Telephone lines were destroyed. Messengers were dead or missing. Entire divisions had no idea the war was over. In forests. In mountain passes. On remote islands and frozen borders. Men still held rifles. Artillery remained loaded. Orders were still active. And some commanders had instructions that could not be cancelled. In parts of Czechoslovakia, German units were still retreating eastward. They feared one thing more than death. Capture by the Soviet army. So even after surrender orders were issued, some German commanders refused to stop. They believed Western allies would treat them better. As a result, skirmishes continued. Allied troops encountered resistance they never expected. Soldiers died after the war was officially over. Not because of ideology, but because information arrived too late. In northern Italy, chaos ruled. Multiple Allied units were moving at once. Orders overlapped. Maps were outdated. Communication was broken. In the confusion, Allied forces mistakenly engaged each other. Gunfire echoed across valleys where peace had already been declared. Men who survived years of war died in the final hours, killed by allies, not enemies. Their families would later receive letters saying only, "Killed in action, May 9, 1945. One day too late for history to remember." When authority collapsed, revenge filled the vacuum. Across Eastern Europe, local militias and resistance groups began hunting collaborators. There were no trials. No courts. No mercy. Suspected collaborators were dragged from homes. Some were executed in public squares. Others disappeared forever. The war had ended, but hatred had not. In many villages, these killings happened after surrender, making them some of the darkest, least documented crimes of World War II. Some Allied commanders faced a brutal reality. Stopping instantly could be dangerous. German units were still armed. Minefields were active. Ceasefire misunderstandings could trigger ambushes. So certain orders remained active for hours, even days. Artillery strikes continued in selected zones. Bombing missions already airborne were not recalled. Pilots dropped bombs knowing the war was technically over, because turning back was more dangerous. Those bombs still killed. One American soldier died from sniper fire on May 9. A British tank crew hit a mine on May 10. A Soviet unit engaged resistance on May 11. Their deaths were real. But history rarely mentions them. No victory parades included their names. They died in a war that was already over. Far from Europe, on isolated Pacific islands, Japanese soldiers continued fighting. Some refused to believe surrender broadcasts. Others believed it was enemy propaganda. Months passed. Years passed. In some cases, soldiers surrendered in the 1950s, still armed, still convinced the war continued. For them, World War II never ended. Victory narratives are simple. They need clean endings. But real history is messy. Governments wanted hope, not confusion. Nations wanted celebration, not questions. So the final 72 hours were quietly forgotten. No monuments. No documentaries. No remembrance days. Just silence. Imagine surviving 6 years of war. Dodging bullets. Watching friends die. Dreaming of home. Only to be killed. After peace was declared. No medals. No headlines. Just a date that history ignores. The war ended on paper. But for thousands, it ended in blood. World War II did not end with a single moment. It faded slowly, violently, unevenly. And those final 72 hours remind us of one truth. Wars don't end when leaders speak. They end when the last soldier lowers his weapon. If you found this hidden chapter of World War II meaningful, make sure to like this video. It helps us bring untold history to light. Subscribe to the channel for powerful documentaries and real stories you won't find in textbooks. We upload new historical documentaries every week, uncovering forgotten truths from the past. Thank you for watching. And remember, history still has stories waiting to be told.